winter gear because we had like we had like a cooler day, and now the sun came out. I just got bundled up. It's funny. Hi, YouTube. My audience is really on TikTok, my big audience, so that's why I'm looking up that way. But yeah, I just got all bundled up and then the sun came out, so I'll probably end up having to change again. Okay, so I'm just waiting for people to turn up, and while we're doing so, I always like to know where you're from. Get people from all over the world. And Minnesota. Hello, Minnesota. Brenda Hunt. I know I say this every time, but all I ever think about is Mary Tyler Moore every time I hear Minnesota. Alabama. Illinois. I have a few clients from down south. I love the southern accents. England, Redding, California. I think I've been there. Wisconsin, very welcome. UAE, I actually know where that is. Ireland, Australia. Hi, I'm Australian and Canadian. My kids were born and raised in Australia. Is that the Swiss flag, Nora? It's not, is it? It's not. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Because I've said that before and I was wrong, wasn't I? Okay. Riverside, California. Don't think I've been there. Denmark. Yeah, United Arab. I always say that wrong. I don't want to say it. Made a fool out of myself last time I tried to say it. Okay. Not that I don't mind making a fool out of myself usually, but I don't want to insult people by saying where you're from wrong. Okay, Dubai. I have some clients in Dubai. Weather. Yeah, I just said it was overcast and not raining, I don't think today. Not that I was out there. So I just bundled up and then the sun came out. So it's funny, eh? Should have bundled up earlier. The sun would have come out earlier because it all revolves around me, of course. It's funny when people say, I knew if I brought my umbrella, it'd be sunny all day. Yeah, because everything revolves around you. We all say stuff like that. Okay, Montreal. Hi, Montreal. I haven't got that long today, so I'm going to get going. I got an appointment soon. Yeah. We had a lot of rain yesterday, like downpours, but it didn't rain where we needed it, where all the forest fires are. MI, is that Michigan? Or Missouri? No, Missouri is, I don't know. I get those Montana, Missouri, Michigan. I get those mixed up. Was I right? Michigan? Okay. Anyway, what was I going to say? Okay. I get so distracted seeing where you're from. Oh, I love that too. That's neat. I want to go there. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. If you go in the link in my bio up there, everything up there is what I've got to offer. It's courses and coaching and free behavior board. So let's get going. Okay. Did you let your children go to sleep away camps or go to sleepovers? Yeah, I let them have sleepovers, but I was very careful. I always knew the parents where they were going. They didn't have sleepaway camps. They don't do that much in Australia. I raised my kids in Australia. I don't remember ever knowing anyone who sent their kids to camp. Like I went to camp growing up here in Canada. But yeah, in Australia, I don't even know if they have summer camps there. Summer's very short there. It's only like 6 weeks and it's stinking hot. Like, I mean, horribly humid, hot. So I can't imagine kids surviving at summer camp. It's just too hot there. So, but yeah, I don't know if would I let them sleep away? Yeah, I would. I would vet it first, make sure it was safe. Okay. Because a lot of them are run by a bunch of teenagers who were just there to party. That's what I've heard. So yeah, I would sort of vet it and make sure it's responsible. Yeah, 2-year-old gets aggressive. Yeah, they're going to do that. I actually have a course on that if you're interested. It's one of my mini courses on toddlers who hit, etc. They're crazy. They're just going to try things out. You don't use words with toddlers. You just use consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition. All these words are just ridiculous. That's not their world. That's for you, not for them. I know it's trendy to discuss all their big feelings, big emotions, but it's garbage. Toddlers don't operate that way. 7-year-old always talking back. That's, I always say we don't fix kids. We teach parents how to be leaders, and that does not happen. So work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach. How is your shoulder? Yeah. Was it bad the other? My hip's bothering me today. I'm old. Everything's falling apart. Yeah, I guess I did hurt my shoulder the other day. I'm always hurting something. Okay. Yeah, I can't sit still. My hip is bugging me now. You get old, everything falls apart. and laugh when I tell them off. Who are you telling off? I don't see anything back there. That there was no lead into that, was there? Okay. Um, so parenting questions. I'm just all over the place. I've got like this. I got a couple things coming up this afternoon that I'm just one of them I'm not prepared for. So I'm like, ugh. It's nothing I have to be responsible for, so I don't have to prepare for it. But not looking forward to it. It's just a meeting I'm not looking forward to. Not a client. Okay. Why am I telling you that? Tell a story. Okay. Once upon a time. No. What was the I was talking to my son the other day, and I reminded him I reminded him of something. He was, I don't remember that. And I said, you were 5 years old. Like, But it's interesting because we all have different stories. Like what resonates with me, the kids don't. They go, I don't remember that, and then they'll tell something. I don't remember that. It's funny how we all have our own. I will tell you something funny. This was a very funny story, actually. Well, it's not that interesting about parenting, but I think it's quite funny. When I immigrated over to Canada with my kids, they were 10 and 15, and my ex-husband was going to be joining us also, but he didn't come with us on the first leg over. He still had to work in that. So anyway, we're immigrating, and we're at the airport. I'd spent a fortune on an immigration lawyer, had all the paperwork, because I'm Canadian, traveling on a one-way ticket with two Aussie kids. You can just imagine. So, and my ex-husband was at the airport as a witness. Yes, it's all okay with me. It was just awful. So anyway, we get there and they said, oh no, this paperwork's useless. And you're going to be flagged everywhere you go. And be prepared. And I had to show them my bank statement. I had to phone the bank and explain that, yes, if we did get turned around, I had the funds to fly me and my two kids back to Australia. Anyway, really interesting. So every single time we'd hit an airport along the way, when we were flying from Brisbane to Vancouver, I kept saying to the kids like this, just act natural. Because I didn't want us to look guilty, because we were red flagged everywhere we went. Every airport, we were pulled into an office, given a big, spiel. They were questioning the kids and me and everything. It was, I respect the safety issue, because I could have been, stealing my kids, right? Because a Canadian, I'm Australian too, but I'm have a Canadian accent. So here I was, one-way ticket from Australia to Canada. You can just imagine. So it was just hilarious. We were trying to act casual. Every time we'd hit an airport, we're like this, just act natural, kids. Just tried to act natural so we wouldn't get sent back. Anyway, we finally made it, and we were at my mom's house, and it was late, we were jet lagged, and my daughter and I were sleeping in the same room, my old childhood room. And so I said, I was so relieved that we'd made it, right? We didn't get sent back to Australia. So I'm laying in bed, my daughter and I are falling asleep, and she goes, can they still come get us and send us back, Mom? Oh, no, they can't. The lights are out, and I'm like, didn't even think about that. So it's funny what kids say, eh? But yeah, that was quite the trip. A lot of things happened on that trip. It was quite interesting. I won't go on about it. But yeah, so that was fun. Okay, parenting questions. Sorry, I went on. I'm really scattered today. My whole day's just been so weird. Um, okay, so parenting questions. Kids are smart. Oh yeah, that was actually a really good one. Can they still come and get us and send us back? Oh no, sweetie. I was up for hours after that worrying about that. That was a very big trip. Okay, no parenting questions. I've only got, how many people? 68 people here. Shoot, can't turn. I don't know how to turn that off when I'm talking to you, so it'll just keep doing. How do you stop your toddler from biting? It's consistent corrective action. You just say no when you take action every single time. It's got to be right in the moment and no words. Just go no and then have consistent corrective action. You take them away from the fun away from them. Just make sure something negative happens to them. So it's just about taking fun away from them, taking a toy away or whatever. So you say no every single time they do it. They'll remember the one time out of 100 that you didn't do it. They just will. So yeah, and it's consistent corrective actions, not words. The words are, yeah. We love the chaos of other people's lives, don't we? I agree. So you believe in ODD in children? Not really, in that it's not a medical diagnosis. It's just an acronym made to so that moms feel better about themselves. That's what doctors have told me because some of my clients are pediatricians and child psychologists, and they say, yeah, it's just something that we made up to make moms feel better. ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, it's not a medical diagnosis. It just means the kids are feisty and they don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. You know what's interesting is parents are very quick to label their kids and not take the blame themselves. If my kids ever did anything, I'd go, what am I doing wrong here? I would instantly go to myself. Instantly, I would think, what am I doing wrong? But that's because I know what to do, right? I know how to problem solve with parenting. But if you don't, you tend to blame the kids. Oh, they've got ODD. It's not my fault. That's what all the doctors have told me. So it's not a medical diagnosis. There's a real trend right now, and it comes from the pleaser parent. I know where it comes from. I've been watching this for 30 years. I know exactly where we were headed, and we're here now. And it's taking all the responsibility off the parents and putting it on the kids for how the kids are acting. That's the pleaser parent style. It's just the way it is. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I always say, well, kids desperately need, crave, and want leadership. Without it, they tend to be out of control. And without it, it's just, it's kind of a bit of a disaster right now, from what I've seen. What to do about my 9 and 3-year-old constantly calling my name to referee? Calling my name, calling for mom or dad? What to do about 9-year-old? Well, I wouldn't referee. If they can't get along, I separate them. Okay, you play in that room today, you play in that room. They'll eventually miss each other and learn how to get along. How do you tell the difference between lying and tricking? What is the difference? What do you mean? How do you tell the difference? Is there a difference? Where'd that come from? Where do you, what, give me an example of that. I don't understand that. What is the difference? Okay, 4-year-old twins won't sleep in their room all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on there and have to assess the situation. That's one of those, I can't answer that on TikTok because I'd have to assess it first. I don't know why all of a sudden something must have happened. Or else they've just decided they're not going to sleep in there and they've manipulated the situation so they're not. Potentially, I don't know which one it is. Okay. Do you ignore when kid hits when redirecting? I never ignore bad behavior. I ignore tantrums. Tantrums are not bad behavior. They're a loss of emotional control. It's like crying. It's not bad behavior. It's a loss of emotional control. They often do bad things while they're having a tantrum. And you don't punish that with little children, but let's say a 9-year-old's having a tantrum, throws a remote control at the TV and breaks it. Yeah, after the tantrum's over, I would address that. But when they're little, they just can't control themselves. By 9, they should know not to do that, even when they're having a tantrum. I never ignore bad behavior. I ignore tantrums. There's really, they're not about feelings or anything. They're just about, tantrums are just, they don't accept not getting what they want, when they want, and how they want it. That's why you ignore that. They have to learn that's not even worth talking to. That's, they will, the better you get at ignoring tantrums, they will decrease in duration, intensity, and frequency. They'll just disappear. My son has been lying a lot lately when asked why. He says he was tricking him. Why do you ask him? Why do you ask him why he lies? Why would you do that? Just deal with it. I wouldn't ask a child why they're lying. I just wouldn't do, as if there's a reason, as if there's an excuse for it. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd just say, hey, you lied. Here's a consequence. You're tricking. Same thing. Yeah, I wouldn't give in to that. He's manipulating you. He's in charge. That's what that says to me. Why do kids tantrum as soon as they get home from school? I don't know. Maybe they're overtired. Maybe I don't know. I'd have to, if you want my help, you'd have to hire me to figure that one out because most kids don't. Like, I don't know why your kids are doing that. There's a lot of these that you'd have to hire me for coaching again. When my son comes home from his father's, I don't know what's going on at the father's. I would have to. Sometimes I can't. I need more context. Some questions are too big for a quick TikTok answer, right? If you want to hire me, it's all up there in the bio. Okay. My toddler keeps throwing her food on the floor. Any advice? Yeah, do what I did with my kids. They learned very quickly. If something ended up on the floor, I hand fed them. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to turn my alarm off. It's going to go in a second because it's on a snooze and I can't figure out how to turn it off while I'm talking to you. So yeah, if a toddler throws their food, you just say no, and then you hand feed them for the rest of that meal. Will they like it? No. Will they learn? Yeah, probably not the first meal, maybe the third or fourth meal. They'll learn. And they also, that's one of your leadership skills. Like the better you get at this stuff, every opportunity to exercise my leadership, I would do it because they can start to respect you at a very young age. The reason I know that is my kids were very different with their dad than they were with me. They pushed him way more than me. I was very much the leader. And it was like that with my mom and dad too. My mom was the leader, the dad was the pleaser. It was like that in our family too. And that's okay. They only need one leader. You don't both have to be a leader, but you have to back the leader up. How to rise the self-esteem of a 4-year-old as he was bullied in nursery, now going to school in September. Well, self-esteem, yeah, when you're a leader, they do have high self-esteem, by the way. And they also tend to be bully-proof and peer pressure-proof. When they have a strong, calm leader at home, it empowers them. So I would say work on your leadership skills. And because leaders bond with their kids too. 99.9% of this is bonding with your kids and being fun and really bonding with them. And when they've got that leader at home, it just empowers them. They're like my kids. I was never bullied. My mom was a good leader. My kids were never bullied. I was a good leader. It just empowers them. They feel great about themselves. It's just the way it is. Oh, you're asking about your nephew. I don't give aunt advice or uncle advice. Because if I gave you advice, like I never tell other people how to parent in my personal life. You're soliciting my advice by turning up here. But I would never tell someone else how to parent. And yeah. And I don't tell other people how to tell other people how to parent. I just don't. Like with my kids, my first grandchild's coming along soon. And none of my business how they're raised. I'm not a Badinsky. None of my business. My kids have said they're going to try and parent the way I did, but they're going to have their own style, and that's fine. It's none of my business. But when grandma's babysitting, grandma's rules. Oh, sugar. So I can't figure out how to turn that off. And I kind of need it anyway because I've got an appointment coming up. Will I ruin my relationship as a mom if I don't carry my 1-year-old? No, you won't ruin them. No, they're fun. They'll survive. Timeout. Yeah, I hate timeout. I don't do it. If they hit, I have a course on that. It's one of my mini courses, a toddler course. It's up there in the bio. And it teaches you how to handle them if they hit. It goes into detail about it all. Basically, it's consistent corrective actions. Every time they hit, you say no, and you remove them from the fun, remove the fun from them, take a toy away, whatever. They'll eventually learn. Thoughts on cried out. I don't know what you mean by that. That's a big context. What, were they just hit by a car and you let them cry out? Or were they, I don't know why they're crying. So I can't answer that. How to handle the boy conversation with daughters? Well, I don't know how old they are. It's age appropriate. I started talking about private parts when my kids were 3 years old. And I said, no one can touch them, talk about theirs, show you theirs, any of that. I went all through that. And there's no secrets. Their private parts are yours and there's nothing wrong with them. You can touch them all you want. They're yours. Mom and dad can touch them, but no one else can. Or talk about them or and I started talking about safety. My kids heard that kind of stuff all throughout the years. They never thought anything of it, never scared them. Information is power. It empowers them. It doesn't scare them. And there's nothing more horrifying than being touched by a freak. So I would rather risk scaring my children than the other. So yeah, I never held back with information, but age appropriate. And if they asked me something outside of their age range, I would just say, we'll discuss it when you're older. And they never asked. Like, it was like, because we talk so openly about everything all the time. And I just say, oh, we'll discuss it when you're older. They were fine with that. But I never had the talks. I never made it formal. It was just, we'd be driving down the car somewhere and I'd start talking about sex or something as they were growing up. What if they hit during diaper changes? Restrain them. I used to hold my kids down across the chest and whoop, got them diaper on. Their dad would be struggling with them. They'd be fighting back. My kids never hit, but if they do, you just say no and, restrain them. Well, you restrain them when you're not diaper changing, but if you're diaper changing, they're going to hit you anyway. And you don't do much about that during a diaper change other than make it really fast, get it done quickly. And the more you put up a fight over it and look like it's upsetting you, the more they're going to do it. They're hitting you so that you won't do it and they can take control. So long as you make that diaper change happen fast and then put them down, give them a little bit of the cold shoulder, just walk away because they've been kind of nasty to you, right? But they're still really little. They're still learning. So you're never angry. You're just sort of giving them a little bit of cold shoulder. You're saying no hitting and then whatever. Just takes time. It's interesting. Whenever I get hired for coaching with older kids, no one ever talks about their toddlers, even though they have toddlers too, because toddlers are just crazy. They don't make any sense. The biggest mistake new parents make with toddlers is trying to figure them out. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They don't have any sanity yet. They're just crazy. They haven't developed sanity yet. So they're going to do what they're going to do. And there's 3 things they're either going to do or they're not going to do. Hit, run, tantrum. Those are 3 things they're born to do. They're either going to do them or they're not. The only one my kids did was my son had tantrums and my daughter never did. And they never did the other, but they're either running, climbing. That's the other one. Hitting, running, climbing, and tantruming. Climbing was probably my scariest one. I thought, they could climb at anything in the house. It was like a client of mine couldn't find her 18-month-old, looked everywhere, was just about to phone the police. And she thought someone had broken into her house and stolen the kid. And she was in the kitchen and heard giggling, looked up, the kid was on top of the fridge. 18-month-old. Climbed up the drawers, onto the counter, bread maker, fridge. Imagine if that kid had fallen on their head, Yeah, climbing's scary. Is it possible for 1.5-year-old that wants to please? I swear she does. Yeah, possible. They're just forming. Don't try and figure them out. Don't read too much into what they do. That's parents are always trying to figure them out. They can change like that. Yeah, climbing is scary. Do you know what you do with climbers for safety purposes? Is you put bells or alarms on anything they can use to climb. So if they use chairs and they pull them across the room to climb, put bells on it. And child-proof your house as much as possible. That's what I did. Well, no. Okay. They say consistency is key only when you're doing the right thing, by the way. Okay. But I tell them every day not to climb on stuff, but they won't. No, they're not listening to you. It's not about words. Okay. You're trying to reason with a toddler. Doesn't work that way. There's consistent corrective actions every single time they do something. So every time they go to climb, you say no, and then you might want to remove them from the situation for a while or something. There has to be consistent corrective actions. They're not about words. You're just becoming white noise. Okay. I told him, well, I need to know the age, Haley. Like, is he 16 or 2? I'm assuming it's a toddler. I told him to calm down, say, please don't do that, but he will scream, yeah, because you're using words. You're doing the mini therapy session stuff. You're trying to reason with a toddler? Don't do it. Waste of time. I know it's trendy to do that right now. That's my biggest nemesis in my whole business. That's what I'm up against. I'm battling that because it's garbage. You don't reason with a toddler. They don't understand reason yet. They haven't developed sanity yet. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. So yeah, these mini therapy sessions, they're for you. They're not for your toddler. I know it's trendy right now. I get it. I've been up against this for about 30 years now. I know it's trendy, but if you're the pleaser style, look at this, 2 very distinct styles. The old-fashioned authority style, my way or the highway. I'm in charge. I'm your parent. You do what I say. Those teenagers are going to rebel, but then they'll turn out fine and appreciate the parent. They go, yeah, I get what you were doing. I appreciate it now. The pleaser parent, Kids wipe their feet on you and they never respect you, and they turn into self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. It's the worst stuff. It's just awful. Awful. I don't do either one of those. I'm the leader. I give respect to get it. And I never ignore bad behavior. Ever, never, 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 never. Never, 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 never. I address it. My kids. Like I was the exact same mom no matter where we were. I was proud of my parenting skills. So if my kids had ever acted out in public, I was the exact same mom. Didn't make any difference at all to me. I would like an audience, please. Come and watch. So they knew I was the exact same mom everywhere. And they knew, mom knew how to take care of business. And I never put up with anything. Never. And when my kids first started grade 1, I said to the teacher, if my kids ever step a toe out of line, never discipline them. That's my job. I'll do it. And they never stepped a toe out of line. Why would they? There was no fear there, by the way. It was just respect. They would be embarrassed. Like I would have been embarrassed to face my mom if I did something stupid. Like if I did something bad. I would have been embarrassed because I looked up to my mom. She was my leader. And that's what I did with my kids. Yeah, you're asking me a very touchy subject, 9-year-old who won't wipe properly. That's a very touchy one because I don't like to use shame. Yeah, you'd have to hire me for that one. I don't want to discuss it on here. It's something that you don't want to shame them. You don't really want to punish, but you might want to use more incentive programs for that. I'd have to figure. I don't know what kind of parent you are, what would work with you. I don't know where you are. If you're a leader, I know exactly what I'd do as a leader, but I don't know where you are. What I would do, if you haven't learned all this yet, wouldn't work with you right away if you're not a leader. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to have leadership skills to do a lot of what I did, but that's why I teach you very specifically, step by step, how to do this stuff. Why do you think kids act differently around parents versus other family members? Well, why wouldn't they? Like, are you the exact same with everybody? I'm similar, but some people bring out more goofy in me. Some people bring out more serious. Everyone brings out something different in you as adults. Kids are no different. So everyone brings out something different in all of us, adults, kids. Only want to eat snacks. Well, you have snacks in the house. I was a health food nut. So we didn't have snacks really, so they ate healthy. This was their choice. You can have this healthy food or that healthy food. So if you've got your kids addicted to salt and sugar, yeah, then they're just going to want that, right? So that's what I see a lot of. They say, well, they won't eat a good dinner and then I'll say, well, what did they have? And they might have had some candy or sugar or something or ice cream or something as a snack. And I'm like, well, that's why. You got their salt and sweet tooth going. Why would they want broccoli? So. Yeah. What's your balance between respect and friendship? I'll tell you what I did, but I don't talk about this a lot because it's not that easy if you haven't already. I had a lot of experience before I had my kids, so it was easy for me. I got respect when they were tiny, so I sailed right through and never had to tell them what to do. It was just respect. It was just and I'd say, well, what time do you think should be a good bedtime for an 8-year-old? Oh, how about 8? I said, sure, that sounds good. And then they just toddled up to bed. I have no memory of ever telling my kids to do homework or go to bed. I have zero. I don't know if I ever did. They just were self-disciplining. Why wouldn't they be? We were buddies. We just laughed all the time, had fun, because we had mutual respect. So it was just a piece of cake. I know everyone used to say to me, who didn't know me, would say when they met my kids, God, you're so lucky. You got the easiest kids in the world. My friends knew I put the work into that. I earned that. I worked for that. I set myself up as a leader, and then you got to work for that. But 99.99999% of my time with my kids was just fun, laughter, because they just were. They understood they were self-disciplining is what it was. They understood from about the age of 3.5 to 4. That's when that kicked in big time. They understood you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. The only thing I might have said was if they said, oh, can we watch The Simpsons or something? I said, well, have you done your chores? Sure, as soon as you've done your chores. Oh, sorry, Mom. And they'd race around doing their chores and then they'd watch TV. It was like that. That was all I did. So, but I don't teach that because that I was maintaining respect. You're trying to get it. Getting it's hard work. If you haven't done it right from day one, it's hard work. Maintaining it's a piece of cake. That's what I want for you. But you got to go. Everyone wants the rainbow. They all want that, but they don't want to go through the storm to get it. You got to go through a storm to get to that rainbow. Oh, shoot, I have to go. I got an appointment. Okay, gotta go. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd rather sit and talk to you than this appointment I've got. Anyway, it's not a client, something business oriented. Anyway, a subject I don't like. Anyway, I gotta go. Look in the link above if you want to hire me, buy a course, or download my free behavior board. Do you do one-on-one? Yeah, I do one-on-one. That's my private coaching. It's all done on Zoom, so I coach people all over the world. Anyway, I gotta run. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye now.